Call for Joey. It's from Vermont.
Over here, this is really the game changer actually. This is what really made this studio a studio for me. So I'm gonna show you a quick tour of my studio space, and it's a tiny studio space, but I love it. It gets the job done, just like me, get the job done.
Immigrants, we get the job done.
You know how it goes. One thing that's very important to me is gratitude and appreciating what you have. So even though this is not my ideal workspace, I would love to have a huge office space and a dedicated studio and all that, but because I don't have that, I'm just gonna make do with what I currently have, and that's what I've done here. So this is my studio space, and it is 8.5 feet this way by 11 feet by 9 feet high. So pretty small space if you ask me. And everything that I show here will be linked in the description if you're interested in buying it. So the first thing you'll notice that's kind of odd is that I have these things hanging off the walls, and these are in place of a tripod. I hate tripods because they take a ton of space on the floor. You don't realize, but when they're spread out, they might be, you know, taking about I don't know, 4 or 5 feet each direction. And so I don't really like tripods, so I have them here. 1, 2, 3, 4 for this light up here. So example for the microphone, tucks away, but I can move it out this way. Boom. Very cool. And then when you're done, just lock it up, put it away, and it's out of the way. Very cool. On this tripod, this one is the one that I use for my microphone, so you might have seen this in some of my shots. And right now I have my Shure SM7B hooked up to this, and sometimes I use that for my podcast because it rejects the background noise. But if I'm using it for a video, I might switch out to the Sennheiser MKH416, which is a shotgun mic. That is connected with this red Mogami cable here to my Studio V3 tube microphone preamp. So this is made by a company called Art, and it's a tube, and so that means that it might be a little bit less accurate, but I like the way it sounds. So it adds some gain needed for running this Shure SM7B. So that is all connected to this Rodecaster Pro here, and I love this thing. It has physical controls, and I can connect up to 4 XLR mics, and it has a headphone out, and you've seen me play music through this. And this is also my interface, so this is what I connect to my computer to be able to hear audio from my computer. So this acts as an interface, and it does a lot of different things. I love this thing. Expensive, but worth it. The light you see here is the Aperture 120D2, and this is an awesome light. It was given to me by Aperture because I did a video with them over there at their studio, so I'm very happy that they sent this. And yeah, it can just move. That's why these things are so cool. You can actually move it out further if you wanted to. So this light is cool because it's very accurate. It has a high CRI. It gets really bright enough for what I need it for, and it stays quiet. So also has a remote, and I use that often. Typically what I do is I bounce the light off this wall, so I have a big source light. I get a nice soft light on my face. The other light that I'm using here is an LED panel, and it's a bicolor LED. I don't remember the brand of this because I bought it so long ago, but I have 2 of them and they work very well. This is more just my hair light because when I'm filming this way on this black screen, I have dark hair, and this light helps separate by adding a highlight to my shoulders and my hair. Speaking of lights, I was sent these little lights from a company called Luminate. Now these are really cool. So this is the box here. It came with a bunch of accessories, and basically this has a high CRI, but it's also RGB, so you can change from many different colors. You can change the luminance and the saturation, so you can have a lot of different colors with these, and they're very versatile. So they run on batteries, they're waterproof, and they can take a beating. You know, my kids like them because they think they're lightsabers, but I also like to just use them as, you know, if I'm kind of lazy, I don't want to bust out the big lights and I just want to use them for photography, this can give me a nice accurate light. And so different color temperatures, and they are Bluetooth, so you can connect them with an app. These are magnetic, and this goes with those Luminate I thought that was super handy because there's so many different ways to mount these. So this is a 1/4 inch if you want to connect this to a tripod, or they're magnets, you know, you just place them up there and you can hang the light. That's so cool. I find that so handy. If you're interested in photography or videography, I highly recommend checking these out, even if it's just for adding a splash of color in the background, which I do once in a while. Very cool. Thank you, Luminate, for sending those out. Okay, so this is my standing desk. It's made by a company called FlexiSpot, and it's relatively inexpensive. I thought that these were going to be a lot more expensive, but this one isn't. And so I ended up deciding to treat myself to a nice new desk, just because I'm always here anyway. Might as well have a nice desk. And I heard that it's better to have a standing desk because when you're sitting all the time, that's not always the best. So yeah, there it is. You just press this little button here. It goes up and down. Very nice. Nice and sturdy. And I like it. It's clean. There, even cleaner. The one thing about having a standing desk is that you have to do some wire management. So my wire management was a mess before, and it was just crazy. I didn't care too much about it. But now that I have a standing desk, I do care. So it's not perfect, but you know, I don't mind it. I don't mind the amount of wires that I see when I'm standing. This kind of angle that I see here, right? Not bad, right? And so the way I did that, and I'll make a future video about how I do cable management, is these raceways, right? So this is really the key, because I mounted the power strips below it, just using some screws, and these raceways allow you to run the cables through them without having to use zip ties or anything like that, Velcro. Because what I found is when it comes to wire management, the problem is when you have to undo a wire or replace something, it becomes a hassle because you have to undo the whole thing. And so with this, you just tuck all the wires, just throw them in there, tuck all the wires in there. And when you have to pull something out, you just unplug it, pull it out. That's it. Easy. So the other thing that you'll see here, and this is probably my least favorite thing, but they're cheap. I needed some little desk trays. And so there are these plastic ones. I don't typically like plastic too much, but these were the only option. But they work. Put my remotes there. And in this one, just some extra pens. These Precise V5s are my favorite pens. But yeah, there they are. And they're just using adhesive to stay up there. I almost forgot to mention this standing mat. Now, it looks a little bit different and you wouldn't really expect too much from a standing mat, but this thing is really awesome. I really like this thing, and it's from a company, Ergo Driven. This is the Topo, and so I've left this here to kind of remind me of that. Yeah, the difference between this and an ordinary mat is that there's different kind of like levels to it, right? And that makes it so that you kind of have to move around, and you know, you can use the center part to massage the bridge of your foot. This part here is good for kind of just stretching your calves, right? Different aspects depending on how you stand. So see if I can kind of demonstrate real quick. You can stretch out. So when you're doing your whole standing desk thing, you find without even thinking, you're just kind of moving around. You know what I mean? And that helps kind of just stay a little bit more active than just standing still. So that was very helpful when I was making the Hi-Fi Summit, because I was spending so many hours here at the computer. So I'd find that what I do is I'd sit down for 30 minutes, stand for 30 minutes, play some music, kind of dance around, get the job done. So this was sent to me by Ergo Driven. I love it. Thank you very much. I would highly recommend this to anybody with a standing desk. Or even if you stand a lot in the kitchen, maybe consider getting one of those. They're not cheap, but I assure you they're awesome. I've had the normal flat ones at my shop for a long time, and they do the job, but this is much better. Okay, moving along to the side of the desk here. You'll notice that I have my headphones mounted right here. So these are using some mounts from a company, Soundrise, and they recommended that I not use it with headphones that are this heavy. And it's because they typically have an adhesive, but I like them so much I ended up just gluing them. I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna keep them there. So I used some CA glue, and there they are, permanent. I have my Sony WH-1000X and 3s that I reviewed. Those are what I use for noise canceling if I'm traveling, not right now. The Philips SHPs, these I use because they're just very comfortable, open back, comfy. The PSB M4U8s sound the best out of all three, but they're the least comfortable. And then I have my IEMs. I have some KZ-KS10 Pros. These are very inexpensive and they're pretty good. And these Mi M6 Pros, they're all right. You know, a little upgraded cable here on the KZ-KS10 Pros. Frequency response on them was, you know, not very accurate compared to the one that I'm currently using. And this is from FiO. This is their FA9. These are $500 and these sound awesome, right? I might, you know, I've owned a lot of headphones, decent amount of headphones, and I've heard some pretty expensive headphones, like, you know, the $3,000 Focals, and man, these are up there. As far as sound quality, I don't know. I like these a lot. So I'll have a review on those. A lot of IEMs, they do have a hiss depending on what you have them connected to because of the impedance. And so iFi sent me this IE match. And so this helps kind of attenuate that. So I don't have any hiss. FiO, thank you for sending these out as well. I have those connected to my shit stack. So typically I have a Modi DAC, but I don't need that now because I'm using the Rodecaster. But I have the Loki EQ, which I use when I'm using these other IEMs to kind of equalize them properly. I don't have to use them with these, so I have it bypassed. Then I have the Valley 2 headphone tube preamp. As you can tell, I like tubes. And I know that they're not as accurate, but I just like the way they sound, so they're pleasing to me. Now I mentioned the company Soundrise, and so this is their Soundrise 5. They sent these to me. These are very awesome because they lift the speakers off of the desk, and I highly recommend that people consider doing that, just because that will give you better imaging, better soundstage, and just better overall tonality, because you're not getting that first reflection. Like if I had it directly sitting on the desk, you get the first bounce, it gets to your ears, and so you're getting a lot of reflected sound. This helps with that just by elevating it and getting it away from stuff. And so I can move these forward if I'm doing some critical listening, tone them in, tone them out, and really fine tune the sound. The other thing that's cool about these Soundrise 5s is that you can put stuff underneath. So normally, if you imagine, these speakers would be right here and they would be taking up desk space. I'd have to move this over, this would have to move over, and because they're elevated, I can put some of the other stuff under there. So it really is space saving. They have I believe a 9-inch version, but that's a little bit too tall for what I'm using it for. And they're actually doing a giveaway. They sent me an extra pair and they said I could do a giveaway. So we'll do a giveaway. Basically, what you have to do is comment within the first 48 hours of me posting this video, and I'll pick one of you guys to win, US only. But yeah, I'll send you out some of these. Thank you, Soundrise, for sending these out. And one for a giveaway. They also sent me these like silicone domes. This is very good for sound isolation because, you know, the speaker just kind of bounces on there, right? So even if this was reverberant, it's not going to transfer down to the desk because of these. So these are very handy. I actually use them on my other speakers over there as well. Soundrise makes some good stuff and they're LA based. Shout out to them, SoCal. I should also mention my, I don't know how you say this, Nemosine notebook. This is a awesome notebook just for taking notes, you know. Very nice. High quality and nice paper. The ink doesn't seep through. Now, as you can see, I'm using my Hercules Monitor 5 speakers. These are speakers that many people have not heard of, but I like them a lot. I've done a review on them and they just get the job done. They're neutral. They have volume controls. I can turn them off if I want complete silence, but they don't have a lot of hiss. And on the back there are controls for a 1/4-inch input, which connects directly to my Rodecaster, XLR if your interface has that, and it has some shelving filters in case you have them near a wall like I do. So very handy. I like the Monitor 5s a lot. There are better speakers that are reviewed, but for this situation on a desk, these are some of my favorites, and they're also not super huge. Now this monitor, you might not be able to tell here, but this is a 32-inch monitor from BenQ, and they sent this to me a while ago, and I haven't reviewed it because it was just too big for my desk at the time, and it still is pretty big. But what I found is, you know what, if I wanted to use this, I would need to put it on the swivel mount. That way I can kind of move it around, move it out of the way if I need to. And so there that is. This is very handy. I love this situation here, and I find that I do move this pretty often. And that's kind of why I didn't go with a monitor that was fixed, right? So with this, I can kind of just move it around. And the picture quality is good. I like it. It has this mode called M-Book, which makes it so that it matches the colors from my MacBook Pro. So that was handy, because when I was using it as a dual monitor, I noticed there was a difference. So with that mode, they matched. This also supports HDR, and the Trovolo speakers, that's their branding on these, it sounds pretty decent. So sometimes I have all these off and I'm not doing anything critical, and I'll just use the speakers on here, and they sound much better than most speakers. I mean, this Mac Mini has a speaker, and that thing is hilarious. So they're decent, but of course not as good as having actual desktop speakers. But overall, my productivity's up, just because what I typically do is I have 4 screens up. So 4 different things. I have one over here, one down here, and another one there. 32-inch screen, 4K, perfect. Only thing is, I would say the viewing angles aren't the absolute best, and the black levels aren't OLED quality, but more than happy for what I'm using it for. So this can accept HDMI, DisplayPort, and USB-C. Let me lift this up, and you can kind of see I have my Google Wi-Fi, USB hub, another USB hub with Ethernet. This is just a extra USB that I can, an extension, so I can easily plug in something like this HDMI capture card. This thing is awesome, by the way, and super cheap if you need to get video into your computer. It works really well, and it's like under 50 bucks. So this is my Mac Mini here, and I just bought this not that long ago. I know they just came out with a new iMac, which I don't feel too bad about. I know it's faster and all that, but I like the fact that I'm able to move this screen around, and with the iMac I'm kind of just stuck with the screen that they have. Although it's a great screen, I like the flexibility, especially because if something breaks, I can just replace certain aspects of it. So this is an i7. It has 64 gigs of RAM, which I didn't pay the Apple tax for. I installed it myself. Saved a lot of money doing it that way. I would recommend it that way. I got the SSD drive, but I think the smallest one, because I usually use external SSDs anyway. So that's what's under here. This is an external SSD, and I have a few more laying around, hiding around here. I have a G drive, 4 terabyte G drive that I've had for a long time, and that's just for permanent storage, long-term storage, kind of like a backup. I have a HDMI switcher, so I can look at the different cameras that I have here in 4K on the 32-inch. And this is a card reader for these really expensive CFast cards. So, yeah, I need those for my Zcam E2. Okay, so we have the Apple trackpad. I have the old school but full-size keyboard because I like the num keys here. I have my USB to charge my phone, and then I have a wireless charger for the Soundcore Liberty Air Pros, which I like a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My original MX Master, love that thing. So moving on to the right over here, what you'll see is my trusty old GH4. I've made so many videos on this. Image quality is still excellent. I have the Sigma 18-35 classic lens. This is a beast. And I have the Viltrox speed booster on this particular one. Love that. That's my B camera, just so you see the side shots once in a while when I switch to those, when I need to kind of just make a smoother cut. As far as the tripod here, this is the eImage GA752, and this is less expensive than some of the other ones that I was looking at. I know my dude Chana has the more expensive Sackler Flowtech, and that thing is a beast, carbon fiber. But this does a thing that I wanted it to do, which is you unlatch this and it goes all the way down or all the way up, just using this one knob, or 3 knobs. But instead of having separate sections, it makes it easy to bring up and down easily. So this is a Benro S7 head, very smooth, not too expensive, gets the job done. Oh, I forgot to mention, on the side here you'll see these cables that are attached here. So this is because I need to connect these other cameras, and I need to run these cables. I don't always want to have them just visible, so I tie them up here. I almost forgot to mention my latest purchase, which is this eGPU. So this is the Sonnet eGPU case. In there I have the PowerColor Red Devil Radeon 5700 XT. It's an overclocked gamer card, and so it's a beast, and that's what I need when I'm doing these video edits. Like that thing a lot. Moving on over here, so this is another one of those wall-mounted thingies that I got, and so I have this photodiox slider. It's carbon fiber and it's motorized, and that's just for, this is my C camera. So this is a GX8 with a 25mm f1.7 Panasonic lens. C-roll, it just moves around, so it's not a static image, which can get boring after a while. But that's not all the cameras I have. In addition to this GoPro Hero 8 that I'm using right now, I have my main camera. This is the Zcam E2. Right now I have the, what is this? The Tokina 11-16 on here with the Metabones speed booster. So this is a beast. Little camera right here. Love that thing. I have the Atomos Ninja 5. That's an awesome monitor. I can also do recording on there. And the Nikon D610. This is my full frame camera. So if I need to take some nice looking photos, this is what I use. This is the 85mm f1.8. My old 2012, late 2012 MacBook Pro still works, still good. Some stuff that I'm reviewing back there, and this is kind of like my junk shelf cabinet. And so in here I have the stuff that I'm charging. I have some lenses. This is the Yongnuo 35mm. That thing is very inexpensive and very good. The 12-32 kit lens. I have this wide angle lens. This is the Laowa, what is this? 7.5mm f2. And then I have the Panasonic 42.5 f1.7. I have my color checker Passport Video. I want to get colors just right. My ND filter. This I would highly recommend to any video creator. So this is the Expo Disc 2.0. This is not very cheap, but it's super easy to do white balance and get your exposure correct with this disc. Highly recommend it. So the Nucleus N is for a wireless follow focus, some batteries that I'm charging, some extra SD cards, the memory that I took out of the Mac Mini, some blue tack is always handy, some card readers, some GoPro stuff. That's basically that. Over here is my caddy. This is all the stuff I use to go. Always take this with me. I think it's like 3,000 lumens or something ridiculous. Has 3 LEDs. So if you're into flashlights, this one's a cool one. 18650 battery. Over here I have these Sony batteries, and these are awesome because they're huge. What is this? 7,800 milliamp hours. These last forever, and they charge via USB-C, and they also have a USB output. I like that. And there you go. It tells you how much battery you need. But USB-C is very handy because I can just charge it on pretty much anything. I don't need any specific thing. Just plug it in. GoPro batteries. All these are just extra stuff. So there's my Modi that I'm not using at the moment. You know, some extra cables, microphones, lens stuff, more cables. Yeah, that's basically it. Extra cables. Now moving on over to this section, I have my Q Acoustics 3030Is, and this is kind of just my YouTube viewing area. If I want to watch YouTube in a nice space, then I'll turn on this VAVA projector, and I'll turn on my Yamaha AS501 amplifier, and these Q Acoustics. This is the stand that it comes with. I have some ISO Acoustics Gaia 3s here on the stands, and the cables, as you can tell, are the Aram cables by OSD. They're gold and they're huge, and they look hilarious and awesome at the same time, and I love them just because they look crazy. That's it. And I do have some more from OSD. This is some more cables. Here's some more cables that they sent me, some RCAs, HDMI, all kinds of XLRs, all kinds of different stuff that they sent me to check out. So thank you to OSD for sending those out. I'll definitely take a look at those. As far as the projector screen, it's that Vivid Storm. It's a motorized screen. I have to move all this up and out when I'm using the projector. So I have this FX Audio tube buffer with the GE JAN 5654 tubes, the Xiaomi Mi box, and that's basically it. That's a little YouTube setup. Over here, this is really the game changer actually. This is what really made the studio a studio for me. And so I started looking up these rollers to hold backdrops. And so this one is from a company, Photo Diox, and this was very inexpensive. It holds 3 rollers, and Savage, this company Savage, I asked them if they would send me some backdrops, and they said yes. And I'm very thankful because these are huge. I think these are like 9 feet, right? So they definitely cover the whole background, which is handy because I don't want you seeing my closet here with a mirror and all the speakers that are in there. And so I usually use this black backdrop. I might get a gray one, a neutral gray one, just because it's so versatile. And I have this white one here. If you want just a clean, infinite background, you can do that. Just light it up. Good for product shots. And then this yellow backdrop, just if you want a pop of color, right? And so these roll up and down right here. Boom, just roll them up, roll them up. That's pretty much it. Now, I would recommend, I've seen a video where they said, you know, just get a white one and then shine like an RGB light on there and you can get any color. Not really, because it will never be this saturated and this even, right? So that's the tough thing. You can do it, but just know that it's not going to look like an actual backdrop. So if there's a certain color you like, I would recommend getting the actual one. Savage backdrops, thank you for sending this out for me, and I've it really changed up my game. So I really love those backdrops. The cool thing is that if it starts getting too wrinkled, you can just cut it and you'll have a whole new roll. I haven't even done that yet. I've been using this for, you know, a few months already, and still I'm using it as is, and they still look fine on camera. So that's mostly it. I have my chair here. This is where all the shoes go, all my shoes. See, Filipino, leave your shoes at the door, no upgrading when you go. And normally I had my headphones on here, but now it's 2020, and they hold our variety of different masks here. Google Home there. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That is my studio space. This picture I got from IKEA about 10 years ago, and I still love it. It's about 200 inches, and it's cool. I almost forgot to mention this thing. So this thing looks like a little nap area. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I take naps there sometimes if I'm tired. What do we have back here? Oh, these are some backdrops. So if you might have seen this in some photos. This is really handy if you need to take some cool photos. Boom. There. Under here is just like some extra accessories. So my father-in-law actually built this for the kids, for their toys, but they can't open it. It's a little bit heavy. So I ended up just kind of using it just to hold some of the stuff that I have here, extra boxes and stuff like that. So like I said earlier, all of these products will be linked in the description. If you're interested, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Once again, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to do what I love to do here on YouTube. That's it. Take care. Bye-bye.